Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Detour Live podcast. Thanks for joining us. Another bonus ep on a Sunday. It's sort of our Christmas present to all you loyal listeners. I'm your host, Dan Jones, joined as always by Mr. Bay Crits, or Lexus of Blackburn Bay Crits himself, Johnny Trevorrow. He's got his banner hanging up. It's not in the best position, John, because you're blocking out a few of your key sponsors, mate. Like, you got to look after them. You sort of half your head's cutting it out, but I would have thought after doing it for the last 2 weeks, you would have got it dialed by now.
Yeah, you'd think so. But anyway.
We're, of course, joined by a regular on the show, head sports director of Team BikeExchange, Matt White, who, let's be honest, Whitey, you don't have much else to do. You're in hotel quarantine or isolation, or what do they call it? Prison. Prison. Yeah.
72-hour self-isolation, but I've had plenty to do in the last 48 hours besides breaking up fights between children. Yeah, they come to blows this afternoon with the two oldest ones. Had a bloody nose. Busted.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, as you know, Jonesy, my kids are not the quietest of children, and when you put them in a hotel room for a couple of days with no physical activity and not too much to do except annoy each other, stuff is going to happen, isn't it?
100%, mate. 100%. I was almost a late scratching myself because have a look at this bruise. I thought it was a spider bite, so I started freaking out at about 4:30, but apparently it's just a bruise. So, you know, it's going to be testing 24 hours myself. So we'll wait and see. I messaged Dr. John Trevorrow, and he was pretty nervous. What was your advice?
Well, I went to the real doctor in my family, the Kay, who is an expert. She watches every medical show on television. And she said, no, she didn't think it was a spider bite. She thought probably a snake bite.
Yeah, so it's definitely not a snake or a spider bite, it's just a bruise. I don't know how I got it, but anyway, we're off track. It's obviously been a big news period for you guys with the signing of Dylan Groenewegen. We talked about it on the show a couple of days ago, but yeah, great signing for you guys. And how did all that come about?
Well, it came about because at the end of the day, Jumbo Visma informed Dylan that he wouldn't be riding the Tour de France while Primož Roglič was around and trying to target winning the Tour de France. So he had a couple of years left on his contract. He wasn't a rider who was on our radar because of that fact. We were looking sort of in longer term range for a 2023 for a world class sprinter. But it came on the market quite unexpected, and it's been a big pickup for us. And I think it'll be a game changer for especially just to get us up and running, especially with a world class sprinter on the roster and a guy who's really keen to get back to the level. Has seen him have so much success over the years.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, a lot of the Australian fans think of Michael Matthews as a world-class sprinter, but he's not. He's a world-class one-day rider. And because he's got so much ability, he just gets up there in the sprints. But he actually doesn't like it. He's not a natural sprinter, so he's been forced to do something he actually doesn't even enjoy doing, and that's those big bunch sprints. So this will this mean that Michael is going to get an opportunity to do what he's really best at, getting up the road and getting into the right moves?
Yeah, it will, John. And we were already in discussion with Michael at the end of the season. And the big game changer for Michael is, you know, he had a template that has worked quite successfully in the past, and it's basically, you know, he was one of those guys that very few sprinters had his climbing ability. So when there was a reduced group kick, he would be in a very elite group of riders like Peter Sagan who could contest those finals. Now, what's changed in the last 3 to 4 years is these freaks from cyclocross who can climb at a very similar level and are just as if not faster. You know, your Pidcocks, your Van Aerts and your Vanderpoels, and that has changed the game. So we were already talking to Michael at the end of the season about changing his tact and the way he raced, and that's more aggressive, more unpredictable. And do things that we've already seen him do, like in the Tour de France there, where he finished third on a medium mountain stage in the Pyrenees, and that's the sort of tactic that he will have to adopt a lot more next year if we're going to get him back in the winner's circle.
I've got a couple of live comments, obviously, Wendy Superfan. Hi, Dan, John, and Matt. I still don't have Ween Dog's number. Yeah, I'm happy to give you Ween Dog's number. Wendy, I'm sure I'd love a call from you later on. Jason Cruz, is this a Moneyball logic buy? I'm sure Dylan is undervalued and motivated. Looking forward to the BikeExchange Jayco going back for more stage win focus. It's a good point because we had Simon Clark and Lee Howard on last episode, and they're talking about, in the last sort of 10, 15 years, the importance of data nowadays in cycling and looking at numbers and things like that. Is that one of the things that you look at when you're signing new guys now, more so in the last couple of years?
Yes and no. Yes and no. It all, a lot of it does depend on the role you're looking for those guys to achieve. But for someone like Dylan, it's the fact that he knows how to win. He's been there before. He's only 28 years of age. Obviously, he's had a quieter year and a half due to COVID, and obviously the incident there that happened at Tour of Poland. But that's all behind him now, and like I said, it's been a degree a Moneyball opportunity because at the end of the day we weren't looking for it. He came to us, and when we got the opportunity there, we took it with two hands, and it's going to be exciting. But as far as I think what's changed, especially in the last 3 to 4 years, is all the teams are really. When you've seen the likes of Bernal and Pogacar and those guys, every team's looking for that next superstar, and the way they're guaranteeing, well, not the way they're guaranteeing, but where they're really looking is they are going through a lot more data. And at the end of the day, your climbers, numbers don't lie. At the end of the day, you can be as talented as you want, but there's certain numbers that climbers have to put out to be effective on the climbs and effective on general classification, and you can see that pretty quickly. Whereas the sprinters, power is one thing, but reading a sprint, getting that sense of timing and a good set of swingers is things that can't be measured by data alone, can they?
No, exactly. I'll tell you, I was getting excited looking at some of the riders you were signing towards the end of the season, and the biggest problem to me seemed to be that you didn't have a Dylan Groenewegen. So as soon as he came into the mix, I thought, wow, it makes all the other things you've been doing just so much more effective. I was especially excited to see Lawson Craddock, who is not a youngster, I think he's 29, but he impresses me. The way he rides on the front, and he can lead out in the sprints. He's a real mix of everything. I think he's a great acquisition.
No, he is, John. He is, and he was looking for change. He's been 6 years at EF, and he'll be a guy that will be pulling in. Like you said, a very versatile character. And when you're running teams of 7 in most races and 8 in a Grand Tour, they're the type of riders that I think are quite undervalued when you're looking at trying to. Well, they're undervalued on a team that is. We haven't got a bottomless pit of a budget like some teams do, and so you've got to pick up some good buys and guys that I see as undervalued on other teams. And I think Lawson is going to fit in really well. I've just come directly from a camp in Spain in the last 24 hours, and he's going to fit into our team super. And I'm looking forward to assimilating him in the team for next year. And he'll be at some big targets for us. He's going to play a big role.
You're talking about budgets. Is there been a big inflation with sort of riders' salaries? Because there was I suppose there was an issue when Tinkoff, remember he was throwing around big bucks to get guys like Sagan and Contador and all that. And then that just bumps up everyone's salary. And then there was talk a couple of months ago with Pogacar that he was being offered, triple his contract to go across to Ineos, which they're talking like 18 million euro a year. Even the chat around that, does that have an effect on even the lower tier sort of guys on what they demand based on what the top tier guys get?
I think it hasn't had too much effect. I think it's stabilising now with your normal type of riders. Look, the general market has gone up an incredible amount in the last 5 to 10 years. An incredible amount. Guys, there was guys riding, for example, riding in some of the biggest teams in the world 10 years ago. Workers, making €100,000 a year. Now that's you're basically paying not too much less than that for the best neo pros in the world now. So that's the sort of market change we've seen in the last 10 years. But I think that the top end of the market has got a little bit out of control there. Just from a couple of teams, it turned into a bit of an arms race. And then when you look at guys, Ed Ineos, for example, they'll start a Tour de France with nearly their whole roster on more than €1 million a year, and most teams have got lucky if they've got more than 2 riders on that, and they've got a team of 8 on that much, plus another team of 8 on the sidelines getting ready for their next race. So I think the big change I've seen in the last 3 to 4 years is with the young guys. So like I said before, everyone's looking for that next superstar and try to unearth that next superstar, but they're also not giving those young guys a chance to settle. So before when you sign a young talented kid, no matter where they're from, you would usually give them, you get the standard 2-year contract, which you have to give, but most teams would give that 3rd year just for that kid to settle in if he was a bit of a slow developer, bit of a slow burn. But what I've seen in the last 2 to 3 years is teams just cutting those blokes loose, and it's like, well, it didn't work out how we thought. Next, on to the next one. So there's probably more kids getting opportunities to turn professional, but the market has become a lot more cutthroat than it was in the past.
I was going to say, it must piss off the older guys that have been in the Palo for 10, 15 years, seeing some of the cash that these young guys are getting, and some of it's just on data alone. Like, they're going, well, hang on, these guys their data's great, but they still don't have the fundamentals, to navigate their bunch and all this sort of stuff. Like, geez, I know if you were in the Palo, you'd be whinging nonstop.
It's a different world, but I mean that's the whole thing, though. This data is amazing, and look at young Jay Vine. Met his teammates the night before the race and ended up running second in the Tour of Hungary or Turkey, whichever one it was. It's amazing. But look, I'll tell you, Whitey, I was impressed with what you've got with some of your new signings. You've gone for speed and for in the mountains. You've got Cal O'Brien coming out of one of our track squads, bronze medalist in the games, and multi-world champion young Campbell Stewart, the Kiwi. And then also you've got young Penner. Is it David Penner? I don't know whether they call him David or Jesus. But Jesus, he's good. He can climb. Colombian is only 21. And I like that young Sobrero, the Italian, who actually beat Ghana in a time trial, I think for the national title this year. Yeah, so you've really got a little bit, a really good cross-section of good youngsters coming in. And now that you've got to sign Groenewegen as well, and some of these guys are going to fit in really well.
Yeah, we have. We've definitely gone down that youth avenue for the next couple of years, and I think with COVID, with everything that's happened in the last 2 years, we got a little bit stunted there with some of our development plans, but that's all behind us now, and we're looking forward to developing another batch of young, talented riders along with the guys we've already got. So yeah, I agree, John. I think we've covered our necessities, and we're looking. We've lost some older, experienced guys, but at the end of the day, the sport's changing and it's changing quickly. And you've got to be able to adapt, and you've just got to find that balance between enough experience around those young guys to develop at a good speed as well. But I'm excited about the roster, and certainly Dylan has been the icing on the cake, and he's going to give us a lot of options to win right throughout the year, and that will start in February.
And you mentioned some of the ones that are leaving, but I'll tell you what, chapeau to the team for that beautiful send-off you did for Esteban Chavez.
I've got the video if you want to watch it.
I think it was just a beautiful thing. Not many teams do a nice send-off to that when a rider's going to another team. But he's been such a part of the character of that. Yeah.
Let's fire it up. It's only a couple of minutes, so here's that tribute to Esteban.
I just copy, bro.
Venga, chaval. bike for a guy in the Giro is obviously Esteban. We're very proud of that.
Colombia have a monument. Esteban Chavez pipping the Italian on the line. He's going to let Chavez come fast. It is Chavez to win the stage. Yates in second. What a 1-2.
Yeah, great video, great tribute. And obviously, it's an amazing story. Esteban, even getting him across to the team and to see, the rider that he developed into must make you pretty proud when you see all the things that he achieved in the time with Green Edge.
Yeah, definitely, Jonesy. Look, for the people who know the story there, we took a bit of a punt on Esteban. He obviously showed he was had a lot of talent as an under 23, winning Tour de l'Avenir, but we picked him up when he was very much off the radar with a career-threatening injury, and the rest is history. Look, it's been eight very, very successful years. There's been its ups and downs, but that's sport, that's life, and that he's been part of our journey and development as a team, and I think it's only fitting that we show him the respect that he deserves for everything that he's achieved for our team over the years.
Now, we're going to have a quick drinks break, and then when we come back, it's like the old 80s TV show we talked up last time. It's Whitey and the Ween Dog, because the Ween Dog's returning back to the kennel. So we're going to pick his brain, and let's be honest, it's always entertaining when you chat to Ween Dog because he shoots from the hip. So quick drinks break, and we'll be back with more.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. BikeExchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Life is like a two-way street. It's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. The Amy Gillett Foundation is Australia's peak cycling safety charity. Our mission is for safe cycling in Australia. Our vision is for 0 cyclist deaths. Over the last year, we've seen an enormous increase in people taking up cycling, whether it be for recreation, with the family, commuting, or even to start your own cycling career. We need to do more to make it safer for every cyclist. 20 cyclists every day are hospitalised, and 1 cyclist is killed every 10 days on Australian roads. So, The next time you jump on your bike or hop in your car, remember to practice the 4 C's. Be courteous, calm, considerate and conscientious. Every cyclist's death is preventable and we all deserve to get home safely. Please donate to help the Amy Gillett Foundation make the roads safer for you and for me.
Thanks again to BikeExchange and the Amy Gillett Foundation. And we're joined live from the Netherlands by Pieter Weening. Now, Ween Dog, this is a family show, and please watch your language, but yeah, little fella's there, so I think we're safe. What's going on, mate? You're in lockdown again.
Oh yeah, mate. Today, actually, in Holland, there are really strict restrictions now. Everything is shut down. All the pubs are closed again. Only the supermarkets and the pharmacies are open during the day. So everybody's in a real strict lockdown here. And I'm also in a lockdown because I'm just recovered from the COVID virus, and I still feel it a little bit. So yeah. Something the virus is something serious, I can tell you.
Well, I didn't know that. When did you contract COVID? A couple of weeks ago.
I reckon 10 days ago. But it's just I was just sneezing a little bit and nothing too bad. But afterwards, my taste and smell and appetite of food all is gone for a few days now. So. I'm feeling okay again, but the whole family now is in sort of a lockdown, and so we have to stay inside for a couple of days more, and then everybody is free again to go.
Iffy?
Yeah. So what is it? Just a short. What's this lockdown you've got in Holland at the moment, in the Netherlands? Is it just a 1-week lockdown? Is that correct?
What I was feeling was sort of a flu. A little bit pain in the throat. A running nose and stuff like that. So nothing too bad. But in the end, every morning when you wake up, it feels like you're just tired. And so that continues for a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks. But I'm not feeling sick anymore. So that's a good thing about it.
Do you want to say something, Whitey?
Yeah, so they're gone into lockdown till the 14th of January, so all right over Christmas. So they're in a pretty heavy lockdown the next three weeks.
Yeah, that would be a big period too for the Dutchies to want to get out to the pubs and obviously enjoy the Christmas period. How's the country taking it, Ween Dog? Just in their stride?
No, they say it's allowed to invite 4 people.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bit of a strange Christmas again. I think also with this kind of days, a lot of people stick together and stuff like that, and that's something they don't want to have right now. So that's the thing. They shut everything down just before Christmas Day and New Year. So then they hope the numbers go down again instead of rising. That everybody sticks together. And also, like here it's cold, so everybody stays inside. And that's if the virus is running around in the house or in Australia, you can do like New Year's outside. It's something different than staying all together and stick together in a pub or in somebody's kitchen.
Now, we were saying earlier that you're returning to the kennel. You signed on as a sports director next year. You must be pretty excited about getting back in the World Tour, mate.
Yeah, it's a last moment call, but I'm really happy with it. A bit surprised for me as well, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really happy with this opportunity.
Now, I was going to say, Whitey, how did it all come about? How did you pick on the Ween Dog and bring you back to the kennel?
Yeah, unfortunately, Julian won't be coming back to the team. Julian Dean won't be coming back to the team next year. And Julian, there's a couple of people that we've lost in the last 12 months. Yeah, Matt Wilson, Julian, and Kevin Tabota as well, and Renzo Lepage. And what I was thinking as well is, there is people out there with experience, but for me, what would be the best benefit for us is someone who understood our culture. And Pete's been around. He'll be new to the sports director's game, but he'll pick that up very quickly. But what I know about Peter, with the years I've been working with him as well, is he understands our culture. He understands what you see is what you get, and he's going to fit in really well with our group. And looking forward to have working with Peter on this side of the fence and getting the ship back on track and doing what we do best, and that's winning.
I think you've got your finger just hanging over the microphone a bit there, Whitey, on your lappy. Because we got the guts of it, but it sounded some bits you were talking underwater. But with Ween Dog, how are you going to bring across? Because as a rider, I mean, I remember used to watching you in time trials, just in the big chain ring, and you were quite an aggressive style. You're calculated, but you race with a bit of grunt. What are some of the things you want to pass on to the riders in a director sportif role?
As a rider, the kind of things you're good at, and also the things you're not good at. So the thing is, you have to find a sort of a mix. Of course, I had some good things what I did, but also for me there were also a lot of things that I could improve. And now cycling nowadays is already further than 10 years ago, and for sure I can learn something. But I think we also got a great bunch of coaches beside us, and they know all the things about training details and stuff like that, and the things what sports directors can give them is I think is more or less race tactics and stuff like that.
What do you think the keys are to being a good sports director?
Oh, I think the number one is having a connection with your group. I think you've got to be able to read the room, understand the culture that you're working within. And the big change for me over the last 15 years is when I first became a sports director, we had a team. We had 3 sports directors and 1 coach, and just the auxiliary staff and people to support the directors group is a lot bigger now. So being able to communicate with 5 full-time coaches now, 6 sports directors. The high performance staff around us is a hell of a lot better, a lot more detailed, and being able to utilize those resources to help your athletes. And at the end of the day, our key role is like Peter said, it's tactics, it's man management, and getting the most out of your individual athletes, but in that team environment.
I noticed that you've got another Dutchie coming in Tristan Hoffman, who, if I remember correctly, was a teammate of Stewie's back in the old days. And I met him when he rode Sun Tour. Gee, I can't remember what year it was now. Tristan rode Sun Tour. But, a real good guy. So very experienced. So be a bit careful with the Dutch mafia taking over, mate.
No, Hobby's not new to the directing game. He's been on Bahrain, Saxon Bank, Inkov, and even HTC. So look, he's going to fit in really well with the group we put together for the next couple of years.
Do you have any idea of sort of the race programs for some of the guys? We've got some live comments. Tony Hemming wants to know, will Groenewegen ride the classics?
Selective ones, yes. Obviously, the ones that suit his characteristics, 100%. So I don't know. You won't be seeing him at Tour of Flanders, but some of the flatter Belgium races, yeah, he'll be there with bells on, mate.
Oh, you like this one? If he Matthew Bordenong says, "Hi boys, Matt. Any chance Dylan will ride the Bakerits?"
2023. Won't be able. I can't get him over 2022. We'll work on 2023.
Now, also Ween Dog, the signing has got a lot of the fans, particularly at the backstage pass, love the Ween Dog. He brought some classic moments to Backstage Pass. That's from Kirsty Baxter. Are you really going to try and shake, now that you're a sports director, that old history of, things like around the Mother's Day and having a laugh? And are you going to be one of those directors that's sort of more feared than liked?
For sure, it's the character I am. If they make the same sort of videos, for sure I'm gonna be the same sort of guy again. Of course. I think also what the people loved about the Backstage Pass is it's a little bit loose. It's always a little bit some funny side on it, and that's what the people like to see. It's not always, they don't have to see always the serious things, and you made a good mix of that, and hopefully we can do that next year as well.
Iffy?
I've got fondest memories of that Giro stage you won. I think it was 2014. I'm not sure the year.
Stage 9.
Stage 9, and I got whacked into the team car because it was my birthday, so we had a joint celebration. Ween Dog, you won the stage, and the boys did a birthday cake for me. So the champagne came out, the birthday cake that night. It was a great night. Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you, Whitey, is it's 10 years now since the start of the team. Does that feel like it's gone fast?
In some ways, yes, and in other ways, no. It is. It's pretty impressive. We're going into our second decade of a team now, and we're no longer the new guys on the block. But things change, and you've got to change and adapt to the sport. And I think we've done a good job setting a great crew for next year. But when you think of the camp back in Melbourne in end of November 2011, it does seem a long time ago. But we've had a lot of success since then, a lot of good times, and we're looking forward to continuing along that thread for the next 10 years.
Now, Ween Dog, we're talking to Whitey earlier about the importance of data. You were massive on data, particularly when you were training. Yeah, like you were always riding based on your wattages, and you were just so calculated. Are you going to be passing that on to the younger riders, mate?
No, as I told you before, that's probably going to be the job of the coaches. But the thing is, myself, I didn't do a lot with all the data. Actually, the last couple of years with Trek and Fredo, I had to work with it again. But I know how it works, and I trained with it and I raced with it. But for me, it's also an important thing is also that you have to learn how your body reacts, how you feel on that, and not only watching the numbers, how many watts can I push, or this is my these are the average watts, or this is it. Sometimes you speak with guys and you ask them, how do you feel, or how is your shape? I think I'm good because last week my numbers were okay. That's not the answer. It's not the answer is I feel fit. Like something different than only the numbers. And a lot of guys right now are only focused on the numbers. And I think you have to find a little bit of mixture between that. I think the most important is that you feel fresh and fit in your head. And even if you push 10 watts less, your shape is going to be better than you push 10 watts more and you're only focused on your numbers and you're going to be stressed about it.
Yeah, well, there's one thing exciting about having Ween Dog on next year is he'll cut through the bullshit. There's no rider that'd be able to just sort of weasel their way around stuff. Ween Dog will just call it as he sees it and put them back in their box.
Oh, for sure, mate. But that's why I want him on board. Pieter knew how to win a bike race, and numbers or not, he didn't win it from numbers. He won it from guts and character. And I think that goes a long way because, like Pieter said, some of the young riders do get carried away with the numbers. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of those guys who've got great numbers who still haven't won in bike races. And I think it's just finding that mix between, sports science has improved. The data and the training has become more specific. But at the end of the day, you've still got to cross the finish line first. And that's an art form in itself. And us as sports directors, we're here to facilitate the growth of those athletes and help them capitalise on the work they do at home. when they get to a bike race, and that does involve tactics.
Iffy?
Before the show started tonight, we did a little bit of social media, and I put a little clip out there that we were having Whitey and the Ween Dog on the show, and I got a message back from someone in Sale who said, "Oh, we love the Ween Dog in Sale. You stayed because Sale, of course, for the non-Aussies who watch the show, is a country town in Victoria." And Peter, you stayed at Dan's place, but you're more loved in Sale than what Dan is.
It's not hard.
It was always a good couple of weeks staying over there in Sale. It's it's a sort of it's countryside. So you go outside Dan's parents' place, you go to the right, and you're somewhere in the fields, and no traffic, and so for training it was really perfect up there. I liked always this weeks in Sale. It's pretty laid back. Not much to do, but for me that was a perfect base to build up a new season, and I always had good memories on Sale.
Didn't a bloke tell you off once? It was a stinking hot day. You'd been out on a training ride and you pulled into like a service station in Stratford, population about 200, and you ordered an iced coffee and you started necking it, and the guy told you off. He's like, "What are you doing, mate? Like, you don't drink that." And you're like, "Ah." And then you rode home. You're like, "Mate, some bloke gave me a ripping for sculling an iced coffee. What is that?"
There was too many fat was inside. It was like it wasn't a skinny coffee, I reckon. So like after a training ride of 5 hours, sometimes it doesn't matter what you eat or drink. Like sometimes you need to have calories inside your body. So and I was thinking, a real nice iced coffee with something like 32 degrees or 35 degrees, that would be good for me. And so I was drinking iced coffee, and this guy said, "That's not good for you."
Now, one other thing that I really liked about you as a rider, Ween Dog, was at the end of the season, some riders, they need a mental break more than anything, particularly on the last couple of years. And you would literally have 4 weeks off, but I'd say to you, "Oh, mate, aren't you worried that, you have a blowout?" And you'd say, "No, mate, because I train harder than anyone in the peloton. So I'll come back and I'll smash myself into shape." How important every year was that break for you, not just physically, but mentally?
My microphone, or I couldn't really understand what you quite say, what you were saying, but I think,
you used to take a month off.
You have to find a sort of balance between the season and the off season. It doesn't mean that you go in the off season that it's always party and you don't train, but you have to find a sort of balance. You think with stuff you can do during the season, you have to do it in the off season. If you drink one time a beer, it's not a problem. You cannot go out every night or stuff like that. But on a certain moment, the time has come that you have to start training again, and then from that moment on, you have to be serious again, and then it's all about trying to get it back in shape and stuff like that. So, but that's the mentality a professional sportsman needs to have. If you don't have that, you cannot be a top sportsman. So. Yeah, sometimes you need to get the pressure off, and when that time has been, it's time to get serious again, and that's a character you need to have.
Now, what we were talking about earlier, the evolution of the team over 10 years. It started out opportunistic, then with more of a sprint type focus. Then it was GC. Now it's sort of morphing into something a little bit different. What do you see the team characterised as now going into 2022?
Yeah, I think Dylan's contract is a 3-year deal, so we've obviously now got a world-class spinner on the books for 3 years. But I think we're sort of we are definitely in a transitional phase at the moment. We've still got the likes of one of the world's best stage race riders in Simon Yates on the books. So he's a rider who has proved that he's won a Grand Tour, third in last year's or this year's Giro d'Italia, and he gives us many options for the 1 week races as well for GC. But then we've got Michael Matthews as well. So I think we've got a good cross section of guys where we are going to be able to target wins throughout the year. And then we've still got a lot. We've got a young group as well with some really exciting developing talent, and especially the likes of Lucas Hamilton and Caden Groves. And I expect to see some big things off those guys next year as well.
I was going to ask you about Lucas Hamilton because it just didn't quite come together for him this year.
Well, Johnny, it didn't come together for him from the tour onwards. I think when you go back and look at the results that he had from, he did finish 4th in Paris-Nice. He finished top 8 in Catalonia. I think it was 5th in Romandy. He had a very, very consistent spring, and he was in 5th place at Tour of Switzerland when we had those 4 guys go down with a bout of crook guts and whatever you want to call it, but they had to abandon Tour of Swiss. And when he got to the Tour, it just didn't happen for him. And then him and Simon Yates crashed out, and that was sort of the end of the form for the year. But I really think he's in a good place to capitalise on that experience from this year, and to turn those top 5 places on GC into podiums next year. And same with Caden Groves. Caden Groves turned pro at not the most opportunistic time, the start of COVID. So he's had a pretty reduced race calendar, since he also caught COVID this year as well. So he's had 65 races in 2 years, whereas normally guys would be looking at that sort of race numbers per year. But no, we believe in those two especially, and I would be very surprised if between those two we don't get some very nice wins on top of our big name stars as well.
And what in years gone by, you used to have directors that would sort of look after a handful of riders on the squad. Is that something that you still do?
No, we moved away from that sort of style when we employed the amount of coaches. When we're talking in that style of management, we had one coach. So we were using the sports directors as the high performance managers, but now with 5 full-time coaches, we step back a little bit from that role there, and our responsibility really is, well, we've all got different responsibilities, but once we're at the race, that's where our responsibility really takes over, and the coaches are the ones that are hand-on, day-to-day contact, and they're the guys that are making sure the boys get the work done at home or wherever they may be on training camps, and they sort of pass the ball on to us in the competition phase, and we just have to have a good idea of who we're managing, where those guys are at, and making sure that aligns with the plan we have for those races and the year in general.
Now, Ween Dog, part of being a sports director is you need to be accredited by the UCI at some point to do your director's course. That obviously requires a fair bit of research. You'd be really good at sticking your head in the books, mate.
Yeah, I still got almost 1 year for that, it's got that are all going to be like the things I think we already learned before, but there are also some things like the bike measurements and stuff like that. Yeah, you have to stick your head in the books a little bit for that, because if you get asked questions about your time trial bike and the positions on that and stuff like measurements, for sure you have to learn them. You have to learn a little bit, but still 1 year away from us, and I know where.
One other factor is you're going to have to learn how to drive, high performance cars, because that rig that you were driving around a couple of years ago still had a cassette player in it. You're going to have to get used to pedal power, mate.
Yeah, the Flintstone car is gone, huh? No worries. Last year I was working for Shimano quite a few days, and also riding in the bunch with the cars there with all the Flemish races. So driving the car is not going to be a problem. But I have to say, the cars improved also quite a bit since the last Opel Vectra I had. So
Iffy?
Whitey, I was going to go back. You mentioned Simon Yates, and he's been a superstar for you guys. And he's had the Giro's been a little bit of a quest for him, because he's the one he looked like he was going to win, and then last year he was right in the mix as well. Now I reckon he's got another Grand Tour in him, but it won't be the Tour de France, but only because the Pogacars of this world and those guys are just so strong and set for the Tour. I can't see him winning a Tour de France. With a bit of luck, maybe a podium, but Are you going to set him for one of for either the Giro or the Vuelta?
Yeah, look, I think the organisers helped us make that decision, and I think realistically, also I agree with you 100%, Johnny. I think with 55 kilometres of individual time trialling, it rules out most guys. I think even the likes of Ineos, a Bernal or an Adam Yates, those guys are staring down the barrel of losing 3 minutes in the time trials alone. So I think when you look at the Giro course for next year, it's the shortest amount of time trial kilometres for nearly 40 years, with only 29 or 28 kilometres of total time trialling over 3,500 kilometres. And it's a race that we want to finish a chapter on the Giro, and that would be the one that we'd love to win with him. And I really do believe that he's got the ability to win the Giro, and it works well. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him at both the Giro and the Tour, amongst many of that style of rider. But it works well with our plans now, with Dylan, who's really, really keen on getting back and winning at the Tour de France. And I think when you're going to a race like the Giro with one of the favourites and a guy that you believe can win, it's pretty hard to tick both boxes, as in chasing stages and chasing overall in a team of 8. And like I said, I think between Michael Matthews and Dylan, we've got our Grand Tours covered. And also, for us, we're working towards having Caden Groves ready to go for the Vuelta a España by the end of next year. I think I said because of his age and when he turned professional and him catching COVID, his development has been slightly delayed, along with many guys who turned pro last year. But I really believe that by the time we hit August, I think Caden will have racked up some nice wins for us, and he'll be ready to win even at the Vuelta next year.
Now, other race schedule. It's very important. What are you planning to do with the Ween Dog? Throw him in the deep end for like Belgium opening weekend, or maybe sit on your wheel at a race like Torino Adriatico, get him in car 2, get a bit more of a feel for it, and just ease him into it.
Yeah, no, I think with Peter, what I'm going to use Peter is take him to the races that he knows well and put him around some experienced people. So he's going to be with Dave McPartland straight up in Mallorca and Valencia, and then he'll be doing Vuelta Andalusia with myself at the end of February, and then Basque with me as well. So races that, because at the end of the day, I said before, where I see Peter's biggest strength immediately will be the fact that he could read a race as a rider, and he'll be able to transmit that sense, that race sense, to our guys when they're trying to win stages in those races that he knows very well himself. So we're certainly not going to be throwing him in the deep end. That happened to me when I first turned into a sports director, and we'll be certainly looking after Peter. But the sports directing side of things he'll pick up very quickly. But what you can't teach people is culture, and what you can't teach people is who they are, or change people. It's quite hard to change, and I don't want Peter to change. I want him to stay the man that he is, and he knows a lot of people already in our organisation. The people who don't know him will gain a lot of respect for him very, very quickly.
One other race based on experience you'd have to consider taking to is obviously Liège, because a lot of people to this day still talk about the Ween Dogs ride in 2014 that got Simon Gerrans the victory.
Yeah, look, he's actually not on Liège this year. He'll be with me in Basque the week before. But no, you're right there. The ride that Peter did there with when Simon Gerrans won was a big one, and it was at that phase in the race inside the last minute that the race could have gone either way. And but that's the commitment that I want to see in our athletes, and the commitment that Peter showed for his leaders most of the time, and the other part of the time was when he was going for wins himself. And that's the mentality that we want to install in all our young guys as well. You've got 2 jobs to do, and that's either burying yourself for a leader or taking those opportunities to win for yourself. And there's no better guy than Peter to get that message across to our young fellas.
Well, one final one, Pete, from me is, there's a lot of talk nowadays, particularly the younger riders. You got to be careful what you say to her. You got to sort of massage them through or whatever. What's your opinion on that?
Wait a second.
Prickly question.
Oh boy, hot song.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
you got to be soft. If you're angry or you fight up after a stage, don't get too aggressive because they might take it the wrong way. You surely.
Yeah, that's after a race. You always have to be a little bit careful. Also with the riders also themselves have to be a little bit careful because normally after the race you're full of emotions and sometimes guys say things or yourself say things that you think 5 minutes later you think like maybe that was not the best thing. So you have to be a little bit reserved with that. You have to listen to the riders and then afterwards when everything is a little bit calm again, you have to speak about the things what went wrong or what was good. Sometimes you also have to say the things that are good, like sometimes people are always pointing on the things that went wrong, but sometimes you also give them a little bit extra confidence and say like, oh, that was really great what you did there, and that's the way we want to continue. But on the other hand, you have to be a little bit reserved after the race and then let everybody do his own thoughts, and then afterwards everybody calm down a bit and you can start a discussion.
Oh, you're talking common sense, mate. What's going on? This is great. Pieter Williams, Whitey says Groenewegen will love having Mezget as his leader. There was a lot of talk about how important Mezget's going to be for Dylan next year.
Yeah, no. Look, Dylan is a very analytical sprinter, and the talks I had with him before we signed him, he knew exactly who he had available in our roster for leading him out. He worked with Armand Janssen at Jumbo Visma for 4 years, and also Luca. He could see that Luca is a bit of a magician when it comes to positioning, and I think Luca's is really excited. Like we spoke before. Michael Matthews is not a pure sprinter. He did a lot of sprints, but Michael's forte is when it gets really tough and really gets too tough for the pure sprinters. And now for the first time for a long time, Luca's going to have one of the world's fastest men behind him. And I think I know that excites Luca. And you're going to see those two guys spending a lot of time together at races. And we've got a plan in spring there to keep them joined at the hip. And then the plan is to get us off the mark very, very quickly in February with some wins. I think it's going to be a great combination, and there's a lot of experience between the two of them.
It's always been a pleasure having Whitey and the Ween Dog on the show. Anything you want to add before we wrap things up?
No, I just want to thank you guys for coming on. I just want congratulations to Matty Wilson, ex-DS. He's managed to put together a bike race actually that finished today up in Queensland. It was a 3-day tour, NRS race, and congratulations to Brenton Jones, who won the overall and won the individual time trial as well. So he really has stepped up. So I did have his mum, Karen Jones, on the phone telling me all about it just before we went to air. So, but well done, Matty Wilson and the group up there in Sunshine Coast. ACA team. It was the first race at national level for a long time.
Definitely great to see you racing back and up and away, and I suppose it's the start of what's going to be another limited summer of cycling. But it's great that our riders have got some competition up in Queensland, and that racing is going to spread down through some of the southern states over the next couple of weeks and into the early next year. And it's about time. It's about time that we get some racing back in Australia because we've managed to put 2 seasons on in Europe right throughout the pandemic, and it's time that people change their mentality and we learn to live with this virus. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And at the end of the day, Australia is in a very good place compared to the rest of the world.
Mm. Well, we want to obviously.
So this is I was going to say, this is your first time back in Aussie for nearly 3 years, wouldn't it, Whitey?
Yeah, it is, John. It is. Looking forward to catching up with some family, which I haven't seen for a while. But Yeah, it'd be good to get out of this hotel room. I'll tell you that's free. The main reason I haven't come back is because there's no way I'll spend 14 days in quarantine with my kids. 48 hours has been long enough, and no,
one punch up.
it's only been one punch up the good blood anyway. But it's not normal for kids to be stuck in a room for a sustainable amount of time. So they'll be happy to get out and looking forward to catching up with their cousins and their family soon enough.
Well, we want to wish, obviously, both of you guys a very Merry Christmas and a massive 2022. We've obviously gone into a fair bit of analysis, but it's all pointing towards a pretty big year for all of you guys and the organisation. So we'll be cheering you on from the sideline, fellas. So thanks for joining the detour. Rest up, Ween Dog.
We just let all the detour fans know that we are going to do a sort of an analysis of the Team Bike Exchange Jayco women's squad sometime very soon.
Yep, and make sure that you subscribe on the YouTube channel. We appreciate all the support. We'll be back again on Thursday. We're going to do a bit of a best of Iffy, and we're going to talk about chance to come over the Tour de France next year with Detour Travel. So it's going to be a big one. So thanks, Whitey. Thanks, Ween Dog. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you again on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. See you then. Cheers.
Happy Christmas.
This is the winning ride of the Tour de France.